I think this sort of relatively simple building facade is a great subject choice for a bit of drawing exercise, a bit of drawing practice. And that's particularly, of course, if we enjoy drawing architecture, but even if architecture's not our main drawing subject. Really, any subject that causes us to focus our faculties and bring together our skills and thinking is going to be helpful. And with this sort of scene, it's particularly good to work on our sense of proportions, of capturing the same proportions as our subject. But also, I think particularly it's a good subject for our trying to capture the effect of brickwork without having to start drawing every brick, because this is a subject where the actual brickwork is very visible, and whether it's always been intended that way or whether it's just over the years the mortar has eroded out from between the bricks, I don't know. But certainly how it looks now, the visible brickwork is fairly significant. So I want to try and capture that too. So it's a great subject to practice drawing the effect of the detail as regards to brickwork. So because I'm just drawing this section, I start with the windows in the center, and I'm thinking particularly of the proportions of those two rectangular panes of glass. And looking at this, I think even trying really hard to make them thin enough, they're probably not quite as thin proportionately as they are in the photo, which is probably the start of the issue I had with proportions in this, in that they really were just slightly oversized, slightly too large. And so because my window is wider than it should be, to get the arch over the top of it, it needs to go higher than it's looking in my reference. And I am at least I started trying to draw this at same size. And so we can see now already that I've gone quite a bit higher with that first arch, and that means I'm going to end up going even higher with this second arch. And so it doesn't take much for a little bit of creep. However, I didn't notice it. If I had noticed it, I would have worked harder at proportions in the rest of the upper part of this drawing, which, as you'll see shortly, I clearly didn't do. Now, with suggesting the brickwork, it's important that we get the scale of the brickwork correct. It's still probably slightly too large in these bricks I'm doing now. It can be helpful to count the number of bricks vertically in a given section and then do a few lines on a scrap of paper and see, is this closeness going to give me approximately within 1 or 2 courses the correct number of bricks? Because bricks are something that we have an expectation as to what a standard size brick is. And therefore, if we make them too large or too small, we can cause confusion about the scale, the sizing of the actual building. And do the same over there. Now, it's important to not put too much brickwork in over everything, or else then we won't know where to stop. What I like to do is to do perhaps more brickwork in just one section and then lessen it as I move around the building. And again, I've gone too high with this, and probably from enthusiasm to put the detail in this cornice as it expands upwards and outwards, I've made everything slightly too wide, too high, which means the whole thing goes considerably too high relative to my reference. So, in my defense, I was distracted in my head with with a few things I was thinking about and stopped paying as close attention to the reference. I was looking at the shapes I had to draw, but what I'd stopped doing was I'd stopped paying attention to the proportions and to the relative positioning of details that I was drawing to details I'd already drawn to what the reference was telling me about that. And I think, certainly for me, it's not uncommon that towards the very end of the picture, it's almost that my mind has switched off thinking, well, this is pretty much done. I can just coast to the finish line. And sometimes that really does cause some pain when at the very end of a drawing, I make a mistake that I didn't have to have made, simply because I'd stopped putting as much effort, as much work into observation and referencing and aligning. And this is therefore another really good reason to do an exercise such as this, which took me 16 minutes in real time. So you're watching this at double speed. Of course, I'll post this on my channel community page, the reference photo, so you can have a go at it yourself. And if you're finding these videos helpful, please remember to hit the like button. If you have friends who draw who you think might benefit, please share the video with them. And certainly if you haven't subscribed, why not? And hit notifications so you know when new videos appear and what they're on. But this is a fun little 15-minute exercise to do, and it certainly helps us to focus on certain skills, which it's very helpful to have some experience in when we do larger drawings that have a greater commitment. Now, as you can see, I haven't centered this arch very well in the space, and I could have done that better. I could have worked out before I started where it had to start and finish to be symmetrical. But again, when I started, I was thinking, oh, near enough is this will work, and it just wasn't quite right. And that's partly also because I went too high. So then it went out further across and came down too far to the right on the other side. So we're never too experienced to learn, and I could have redrawn this and done a second video easily enough, but in a sense I think, well, this teaches as much as anything else teaches that we all have to pay attention right to the end. And I know some of you enjoy seeing me make mistakes. G'day, I'm Travers. I hope you found this interesting to watch. I hope you have a go drawing it. But look, whatever you draw, however you draw it, for whatever reason you draw it, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.